Hello, everybody. Happy Friday to you, and welcome to the season 8 premiere of The Breakthrough Show. I'm your host, Jessica Dugas, and I'm thrilled to be here with you today for another season. We're going to do a lot on today's episode. It's just me here today, but we're going to look back at some favorite moments of the Breakthrough Show throughout the years. We're going to look at some of the incredible guests who have graced our stage. We're going to look forward to some of the guests that we have booked in already for this season and just do a little bit of reminiscing today, a little bit of uh, just love for what the Breakthrough Show and the Breakthrough Show Network has become. As I mentioned, I'm Jessica Dugas. I have been the host of the Breakthrough Show since the beginning, since 2018, and now the creator of this network that we have put together, network and community that we've put together as a result of all of the love that we have gotten for the Breakthrough Show throughout the years. I am so excited that you're here today, and I would love for you, if you're joining us live or on the replay, share with me in the comments, say hello where you're joining from, and maybe some of your favorite moments from the Breakthrough Show throughout the years. When I first started the Breakthrough Show in 2018, I had no idea what it would become. I was simply a person who believed in the power of storytelling, the power of sharing our challenges, our triumphs, and everything in between. I wanted to create a space where people could see that they weren't alone in their struggles and that breakthroughs were possible for everyone. But what I didn't realize back then was that the Breakthrough Show wouldn't just be a single show. It would become a movement, a community, a network dedicated to lifting each other up, to fostering real transformation, and to holding space for those who are ready to step up into something bigger in their lives. It's incredible to think that we started with just one show and now we have an entire platform of voices, perspectives, and conversations that are changing lives every single day. That is the power of growth, of commitment, of consistency. That's the power of breakthrough. I would like to go back, or actually, I think we're going to go forward first. I think I want to start by introducing some of the amazing guests that we already have scheduled for this season coming up. I'm very excited. I'll be telling you a little more at the end of the show. A good friend of mine, Brett Gordon, is going to be joining us next week. And what's really exciting is that Brett and I used to co host another morning show together with Brandon Croucher back several years ago. And then a really awesome thing, Brett was part of a film that I released, which you're going to see a little bit more of coming up if you've never heard of it, called The Friendship Paradox. I released that on Friendsgiving last November. So it was the day after Thanksgiving here in the United States. And the Friendship Paradox is all about friendship in adulthood and what those relationships look like. So Brett and I co-hosted this together. He was part of this film. Him and I've done some leadership work with him, etc. And it occurred to me as we were going into season 8, I said, "Oh my goodness, I've never had Brett on the Breakthrough Show. What am I doing? Complete host fail." Complete host fail. So I'm really excited that Brett Gordon will be joining us next week. We've also got a couple of other new faces scheduled in for March and April. Karen Ramsey Smith is going to be here. She's another one that was part of the Friendship Paradox film that came out. And she is just her. Do you ever just meet a person and their energy is like you could just swim in it? You could absolutely swim in it. Karen Ramsey Smith is one of those people. She just has the most delicious, calming, beautiful energy. And there were so many moments that we shared together in taping for the Friendship Paradox that I didn't even get to share because it didn't fit the narrative of the film, but they were so incredible. So I thought we need to expand on this further and have you on the Breakthrough Show. So I'm really excited to have her on March 14th in a show called Your Soul Radiance. See, even that, doesn't that sound amazing? Really excited to welcome Karen Ramsey Smith onto the show. In addition, there, I know many of us have been on social media for quite some time, and we may have those people that we connect with, and maybe we're not even sure how we connected with them, when we connected with them, why we connected with them. And Sharon is one of those people. Sharon Okun, who is going to be on the show. It might be Okun. I may be completely butchering it, but I'm excited to have her on. I see her content scrolling through social media often. I know she does qigong and among many other things, and has really done a lot on her own personal journey of self healing. And every time I see something of hers, I'm just like, oh, that feels so good, or that resonates with exactly where I'm at right now. So I'm really excited to invite Sharon onto the show, and you'll be meeting her on Friday, April 4th, 2025, in an episode titled A Journey to Self Healing. We've also got a couple of familiar faces that are booked in coming up this season. On March 7th, Jeff Brandeis will be back on the show. And it's interesting because he was focused a lot on the sales process back when we met him initially. And a lot has changed. Many of us, both during and after the pandemic, we felt like things needed to shift in our business. So I'm really excited to have Jeff back on the show, because he's going to be talking about something that I'm really passionate about, and that's engagement. In fact, just before I came, this is perfect timing. Just before I came on to the show to do this live today, I saw a post on social media, on Facebook specifically, where someone was asking, I'm not seeing anything on my news feed from my friends anymore. I'm seeing ads, I'm seeing all of this other stuff that I didn't ask for. And somebody commented the exact thing I was going to say, so I didn't feel feel the need to do it. And that's that you need to be engaging with the people that you want to see. That's how these social media algorithms work. The more you engage with, or talk about, or like, comment, share, all of that stuff of the people that you want to see, the more you're going to see it show up in your news feed. So it's really important to do that. So when Jeff comes on the show on March 7th, he is going to be talking about engagement and how much that really matters, in your life and in your business. And so, really excited to have him back. In addition, another amazing person is coming back, which I'm so excited, guys. He's Grammy nominated. He has played and sung with India Ari, among other incredible artists. And he really, one of my favorite guests of all time on the show, you guys. Joel Cross is coming back in 2 weeks. He's going to be here February 21st, 2025, in an episode titled How's Your Heart? And the reason that I titled that episode, and I'm so psyched about this, you guys, is because since having him on the show, I don't remember exactly when it started. We'll have to ask him that when he comes back on the show. But when not long after he was on the show, he started this series of posts that he does on it. I see them on Instagram, though I'm sure he's on TikTok and other platforms. Um, and he always starts with a deep breath, hand on heart, and he asks the audience, "How's your heart?" And then a nice deep breath, and he just invites us to check in with where we are in the moment, with what we have going on, and then he shares a thought for the day. And I love this practice so much. Every time I see it, I see him, I'm like, okay, stop and pause everything you're doing. And he really just, he's so fantastic. And I'm excited to have him back on the show to see what he's been up to, but also to dig into these posts a little bit that he does, because I don't think we do that enough, to just stop and pause and ask ourselves, like, hey, what's going on in life right now? What's happening? How can I be more present? And that's what he invites us to do. So Joel Cross is going to be here, you guys. I'm so excited about that. He is going to be here on, as I mentioned, Friday, February 21st to 2025. So it's going to be absolutely amazing, and I cannot wait. What we are going to do now is take a super quick break, and I want you to see the final trailer for that film that I mentioned, The Friendship Paradox. And when we come back after break, I'm very excited to look over some of the my favorite past guests and favorite moments from the Breakthrough Show so far. So stick around. I don't want you to go anywhere and miss this because I want to have some fun with you right after the break.
On April 4th, I was 90 years old, grandson of slaves. My parents were first generation free. A long time ago, I embraced the definition of love. Love is the experience of well being. And a friend is one who mutually shares that experience of well being with you, which opens up almost infinite creative possibilities.
Welcome back, everybody, to the season 8 premiere of The Breakthrough Show. I'm so excited to have you here today. And that is the film. That's The Friendship Paradox that premiered on Friendsgiving, November 2024. And I encourage you to go visit thefriendshipparadox.com. You can make a donation, or you can simply enter your name and email and watch the film completely free. Again, that's thefriendshipparadox.com. And I would love for you to see that documentary. I want to check in over at the comments really quickly, because one of the things that I love so much is that this is a live show, and we're doing the Breakthrough Show live all season this season. Sometimes it's recorded, but my plan is live all season. We'll see how that plays out. Miss Brittany is here today. Yes, celebrating the season 8 premiere. She loves Joel Cross, so I'm pumped to have Joel back on the show. It is absolutely a must-see documentary, and there's the link down there in the chat over on YouTube, thefriendshipparadox.com. Go check that out, and we hope you watch it and enjoy it. What we're going to do now is I'm going to take you on a little trip down memory lane as we look back at some of my favorite guests and moments from the Breakthrough Show up until this point. I thought it would be fun today. And I also want to take a moment. We're currently looking here on the screen at the breakthroughshownetwork.com. Our website at the end of last year was completely revamped. We have so much on there that I hope you'll take the opportunity to go check out. We have our homepage and our about pages that talk to you a little bit about the Breakthrough Show and our history. We also have information on how to be a guest if some of you have breakthrough moments you want to share, how to be a host on the Breakthrough Show Network and have your very own show. You can find information there also about the Friendship Paradox, as I've shared with you, information about our annual awards, and then we also have ways that you can shop with us over on Amazon and our merch as well. So be sure to check out all of those buttons. One of the other buttons that's up there is the connections button at the top in the menu. And this has so many, and in fact, it has to be updated again because we've had so many more guests on the show. But this has so many of our guests that have been across many of our shows here on the network. Specifically, we're looking at the Breakthrough Show today, but I want to read this paragraph that's at the top of the page because I think it's at really at the heart of who I am as an individual and what I stand for as far as the platform as a whole of the Breakthrough Show Network. At the Breakthrough Show Network, we are endlessly grateful for every guest who has graced our shows with their presence. Each one has shared their unique experiences, insights, and talents, enriching our community and sparking meaningful conversations. While we may not always be personally aligned with every perspective shared, we deeply value the courage and authenticity it takes to share one story. Thank you for trusting us to be part of your journey and for contributing to the collective breakthrough moments that ripple far beyond our virtual walls. one of the things that is most important to me here on the network is inviting people to come on from all different walks of life. And I think that that's so important. It's so important to do that because everybody has a story to share. And currently in this world, specifically in this country, we are surrounded by this narrative to simply cut people off that disagree with us, to cut them off, to not have a conversation, to erase them from your lives, if you will. And that couldn't be farther from what we stand for here on the Breakthrough Show Network. And so when I say that I am so grateful for every single perspective, even if I don't personally agree with it, I cannot say that loudly enough. That is very, very, very important to me personally and to us as a network. So I want to go through and just look at some of the incredible people who have been on the show from the beginning. These are in alphabetical order, so all of these folks could have shown up at any point during the last 7 seasons of the show. Aaron Fisher, Aaron Hill, both incredible. Abby Miracle, I had the pleasure of knowing in person when I lived in Alabama. Alan Nightfair, former Buddhist Zen monk that was on the show, and he was a host on the Breakthrough Show, a panelist from for a little time. We share a birthday from a couple days ago, so happy birthday, Alan Knight. Dr. Adrienne McKeon, she was a fantastic guest. She really has so much humor to her story and how she shares things despite really going through a lot, having multiple breakthroughs, as I think many of us can relate to. Ben Wong, I need to update that photo for sure. The Sylvia Tam was on the show, and Ben Wong is one of her children. You'll see his siblings as we're scrolling through as well. Some of the youngest people we've ever had on the Breakthrough Show. You see Brett Weiss there, who is fantastic. Brian Keating, who is up for a Nobel Prize, and he has a book about losing the Nobel Prize. So go check that out. There's my bestie, Miss Brittany Floyd, there as well. So many Caldwell Williams, fantastic guest, who's been on Beyond 2D, and he's also, you saw him in that clip from the Friendship Paradox. Cheryl Green, an incredible pianist. Chris Howitt, a magician. Miss CK Ford, whose birthday was yesterday. Happy birthday, Miss Ford. She is incredible. Craig Siegel, he is a big name in the world of podcasting. Really, such a pleasure to have him on the show. Crystal Cockerham, one of our original show hosts outside of the Breakthrough Show on this network. So always grateful for her. Daniel Bruce Levin, I will never forget him. His book, The Mosaic, has deeply impacted my life. Daria, that I see often reading the poem, Dorothy's poem each day in our virtual community. Also thinking of Dorothy, Darren Sprinkle, Deborah Eppelman. And you see another name on the screen here. Dee Wallace has been on the show, and we hope to welcome her back this year. And as we see her here, I want to give you a little clip from when she was back. I believe it was season 4 maybe. In the beginning, I was reading a little bit of your bio off. You've done so many different things. That's something that you and I have in common. We seem to be very multi-passionate. We enjoy a lot of different things. Do you feel like those are all very separate things in your life, or do things sort of bleed over, or do they have similarities in some kind of way?
Well, I think creation is creation. Mm-hmm. So it's interesting because half of my life I do horror films, and the other half of my life I'm teaching people how to heal from fear. And the two segue very nicely with each other. I study fear. I know fear. I know what fear feels like. So I can then help people discover the pockets in their energy of where that fear started and how it's running their life now. If anybody out there wants more information on how your little child is running your adult life, I've got a great TED Talk on YouTube. Just put in TED Talk Dee Wallace and it should come up. The more you understand your little child and what you're taught when you're little, the more you will understand the walls you keep hitting as an adult, because, as a good book says, as you believe, it's going to be delivered to you, baby. It's kind of like the Matrix. Pick a door, any door. You can go through that door and have that experience through the thoughts and the feelings and the perspectives you hold. You can open another door of more expanded thoughts and feelings and knowing, and have an entirely different experience in your life. You really are the creator of you, because nobody can think a thought or feel a feeling or hold a perspective that you don't say okay to. So the more you realize your power of choice, the more you create in your life.
Ooh, I loved, oh my gosh, so good. I loved that moment with Dee Wallace when she was on the show. And I think, again, I think it was season 4. I think if my memory serves me correctly, I don't have my notes in front of me, but what an incredible guest. And we hope to have her booked in again this season so that we can catch up as well. I know her daughter also has an incredible social media channel on Instagram. So definitely go check out her daughter as well. Going back to some of our incredible guests, there's Donna Brown, who was my original co-host for the Breakthrough Show, sending her good wishes. There's my dear friend Dorothy Auger that had passed away a couple years ago now. Dhirendra Singh, oh my gosh, he won one of the big awards at our last award ceremony last December. So always good to see him pop up from India originally, but he's living here in the States now. F.A. Owafasa, what an incredible guest. One of our originals from back early on in the Breakthrough Show. Ivinder Carlson from Iceland. Oh my gosh, so many. The memories that are popping up in my head right now are wild. There he is, Mr. Ferran Dozier, that we do so much together now, and it's always such a pleasure. Let's see who else we have here. Grim Long. Some of you may not know this, but you may know Grim as the person who helps me get all of my tech stuff done with our website and whatnot behind the scenes. But she was on the Breakthrough Show before. Can you guess what episode she was on, or maybe you know what season she was on? Go check that out for sure. Oh my gosh, so many incredible people here. Jamad Emmanuel, oh my gosh, he had a birthday this week as well. One of the original panelists of the Breakthrough Show. There's Jeff Brandeis that I mentioned. He'll be coming back as well. Jeff Martinet Jr., what an incredible story. Hey, there's Jessica Dugas. I think I recognize her. My cousin, Jim Spinato, that was on the show. And scrolling down just a little bit further, you'll see Joel Cross that I mentioned. And my another cousin, Julia Spinato, that was on the show. Listen, we don't discriminate here. Sometimes we have the family come on too. Joseph McGuire, an incredible guest that I want to mention that does a lot around facial and body language analysis. That's just fascinating. So fascinating for me. Carl Barth, Mr. Mini Golf, another standout moment. There's another friend of ours there, Kevin Kiley. So incredible. All he's doing with the network and having his own show now, Magical Melodies. So proud of him. Cootie Mack, another really standout. Kathleen Gage, incredible. And you get, like, I have so many things that I could fill up time with and say about all of these incredible guests that have been on the show. Lori Ann Davis, a very dear friend. Lucinda Harmon, been on the show several times. And as we continue to scroll down, another face that sticks out for me is Megan McGlover. She really, when I tell you she brings the heat, she brings the heat, and you better stay out of the kitchen, or at least be ready for a hot kitchen. Okay. Check out this clip from when Megan McGlover was on season 4, I believe it was.
The book is a novel meets self-help meets research. That's the book. So what I do is I talk about what is a lie, where does it come from, um, how does it affect the actual brain. I go into the study of the brain, like the physical brain. Then I go into the study of the physical body, how lies create disease, what diseases are actually created, um, how it affects the spirit and the soul. There's a difference between the spirit and the soul. The soul is the housing of the spirit. So if the soul body is all fucked up, then the spirit is not going to be able to do its best work, because the soul, the container that is holding the spirit, cannot absorb and or give it a decent place to express. So I talk about that. I talk about the frequency and the hertz of the sound of a lie, the vibration and the energetic foundation of a lie.
Wow.
I talk about it's really, it goes really, really deep. Throughout it are these stories that begin at the beginning of the book, and the stories travel through the chapters so that you can see how this part of a lie has affected that story's brain, or that story's body, or that story's connection with the rest of their life, or how being lied to for so many years has affected Nicole, how being lied to for so many years has affected Michael, how you continue to tell lies, and how one lie has to be told to keep another lie going, and then keep another lie going, and how you can see how it's like affected these people in their stories. And then at the end of the book, I go back to those same stories and show how life would have been very, very different if those initial lies had never been told, or at least if those lies had been corrected and told, and the truth were told at some point in their life. It would not have ended up the way that it ended. So that's the book. It is something I am so proud of, because I want people to get a thorough understanding of what you're dealing with. You're not just dealing with a little white lie or a little fib or something like that. You're dealing with something that is really damaging your health, your mental capacity. It's damaging you emotionally, and it is really fucking up every relationship that you're having, the relationship you have with your husband, the relationship you have with your children, the relationship you have with the memories of your childhood and the memories of your mother and your father, the things that you're being triggered by people at the workplace, and you don't even really know why. Well, you're being triggered because you were lied to about your self-worth way back then. So now some bitch coworker says something to you at work, and you're like, wait a minute, hold up, you're not. And it's like, wait a minute, she's probably not even a bitch. But because what you hear is actually what somebody told you when you were a child, you're now attaching it. I talk about attribution, and you are attributing this with that. And that has nothing to do with that except for this trigger that's in the middle. And if you would fix that and identify it, and so the workbook really breaks things down, because I tell you, write down what your triggers are. Right? Where did this come from? What were the lies that you were told to when you were a child? What were the lies that you were told to, and what did you believe?
Ooh, listen, Megan. Megan always, I cannot get enough of her. She is always outspoken, always has a lot to say. So definitely go check her out on Instagram and her YouTube. She has a special broadcast every Tuesday called Petty Tuesday. And I'm so happy that it's back, because it really just absolutely fantastic. And I hope we'll have Megan back one day. But she is really so great and amazing. So go check her out. And I thank Megan for the time that she spent with me on the network. More fabulous people. Michelle Risa. There's Miss Shelley Belly, Michelle Ryder, who has been on the Netflix show The Circle. Miha Matlievsky and OG here on the Breakthrough Show Network. Nicola Humba, Nicola Vasquez, just incredible people here. Norman Liverpool, Nur Gariga, Oleg Lohid, and there's a couple other people I have to mention on this page. Olivia Ambani, who is now one of our regular show hosts on Project Joy Live. It's always good to spend time with Olivia, and her song Shoulder can be found as part of the soundtrack of the Friendship Paradox film that I mentioned earlier. And we also, another incredible guest that we've had, Ori Spado, a favorite of mine, that you can see there, also known as the Hollywood Mob Boss. Check out this clip. Just get very nostalgic when Ori was on the show.
If you would just take us back just for a few moments and share with us a little bit about what were you like growing up. I'm going to assume that as you were sitting around, Sunday gravy with your family, that you weren't sitting there going, I want to be a mob boss when I grow up.
Never. Never entered my mind. I grew up in a very good family. There were 6 children. I was the middle child. We lived in a duplex home. My grandparents lived next door, and all my uncles. I was born, and the war was just ending when I was born, but all my uncles were in the war. And in those days, when you had a child in a war, you flew the flag in front of your house. My grandfather flew 4 flags. All of his children,
Wow.
all his boys were in the war. We had a shed, and we built a door, and for the winter time. And my mom cooked for not just her family, but I mean it was all her family, but for my grandfather and all my uncles. So we had a big dinner table every evening. My father worked at Revere Copper and Black Press, and he made $35 a week in those days.
Mm.
He had a large family to eat. But we had a big garden. I'm the one who had to spade it. We were eating organic food before people knew what organic was.
I love that.
My mother canned, and we stored it, and so with very little money, my mother was able to do good things cooking. So we did eat. It was a great childhood. Rome. I was born in a little town called Rome, New York.
Mm.
It's in upstate New York. It was really a great little city in those days. It was an actual city. Yeah, got a lot of fond memories of Rome, New York.
Yeah.
I never liked the winters.
I had to leave that little clip in there about how he never liked the winters because we are smack in the middle of it here in New England, and it gave me a good laugh because Ori lives out in Beverly Hills now, so it's a different world out there for sure. But Ori was for sure one of my favorite guests, not just talking about his book, The Accidental Gangster, and his history, and his time in prison and all of that stuff, but so many moments like that he shared that just brought us to a different time, it really took us back. He talked about in that episode as well, spending time with Frank Sinatra in the club, and so just little moments like that. Definitely go check out the uncut version of his interview over on YouTube. Ori Spado was incredible. So looking back, again, so many incredible people. Robert Bell, who is the cousin of Olivia Ambani, and that's how we even met her. Rana Massoud, Rhonda Elliott there, Rory Kelly, Robert Lukian, Sabrina Percario, Scott Mason, Sharon Saraga Walters, Shiraz, who used to host here on the network. Oh my gosh, Stuart and Susan Elliott, incredible. Sylvia Moss, Sylvia Tam, Tara Abram, Teresa Warren, just so many incredible faces. There's Trista Polo, Truth Sika, another incredible guest, Vikram Rajan, Wendy Beasley, who has another incredible book out, William Plunge, all of these absolutely amazing people. I'm so thankful that they have graced our stage here on the Breakthrough Show. When I look back at these incredible guests, I am in awe of the wisdom, the vulnerability, and the sheer impact of the stories that they shared. Some of these conversations left me speechless. Some made me laugh until I cried, and some make me just cry because that was the theme of the Breakthrough Show for the longest time. And some made me feel so deeply that I knew without a doubt that this work was my purpose, and not just with the show, but moving into it being a network and a community. Um, we've had guests who have shared their journeys through grief, success, failure, and reinvention. We've heard from people who turned pain into purpose, who have found resilience in the face of adversity, and who remind us that breakthrough isn't about just a single moment. It's about a series of decisions we make every single day to move forward. I encourage you to go revisit some of these past episodes because their stories continue to inspire, and they are just as relevant today as when we first aired them. So we're going to take a super quick break, final break of the episode, and I'm going to show you all about the Breakthrough Show Network as a whole, and we'll be right back after this. Don't go anywhere. Breakthroughs are about more than you might think. They're about discovering who you are, digging deep, reaching to the core of your soul. They're about healing yourself, understanding your beliefs, creating a ripple effect. And it's not just those initial moments that matter. It's about using them to bring more joy into our own lives and the lives of others. It's about having fun, letting loose, enjoying every moment life has to offer. It's about finding a safe space. It's about creating connection. Join us each and every day for exclusive programming, special events, and a community to call home, where we invite you to explore, change the way you look at and live your life, and go beyond the breakthrough. So we ask you, are you ready? We'll see you online at thebreakthroughshow.com. Welcome back, everyone, to the Breakthrough Show. This is the season 8 premiere, and we've had a great time today just looking back at some of my favorite guests and moments, and just mentioning a lot of people that just bring me so much joy to think about that have ever been on this show. And we've also taken the time to look ahead a little bit at some of the incredible guests that we have booked in to come on the show this year. I'll be telling you about the next episode coming up here in just a few moments. I want to say hello really quickly to Danielle Valero, who's joining us, who, by the way, is another one of our incredible Project Joy Live co-hosts that will be joining us the last Friday of each month on that show. Check that out. Monday, Wednesday, Friday at the 9 a.m. Eastern time hour. We're going to have a lot of fun doing a 90s Fun Friday with Danielle, just in time for 90s Con coming up here the end of March as well. I want to talk to you about a couple things as we're finishing up the show today. As I mentioned, the Breakthrough Show has evolved from just a show by itself to a network and community that supports not just individual breakthroughs, but also intentional collective transformation. Some of the events that we have within our virtual community are things like Pomodoro style co-working hours and poetry reading and neurographic art classes, mindful doodling. We have a craft circle that happens. We have Soul Saturday morning coffee every single Saturday that just inspires us to connect again. And that's something that I feel really strongly that we all need to be reminded of. I shared on Project Joy Live recently that a friend of mine passed away a couple weeks ago that I went to school with. And so anytime a school friend passes away, it's a mini reunion when you go to the celebration of life and all of that and the funeral. And there was it bothers me that we go to this funeral, and the last time I saw a lot of the people that were there were at the last funeral that we went to. And I also had the opportunity to sit down and talk with a friend of mine who we had that discussion about how I guess she and I are a little naive in that way, where we thought that the creation of social media would help us to be more social. And that's not actually what happens or what we're seeing. I think the biggest help it's been is reminding me of when someone's birthday is and that I need to reach out. But I don't want to just wait for the reminder, and I don't want to just wait for those funerals and weddings and all of that. I want to be intentional about connection. And I really feel like our Breakthrough Show Network virtual community helps us to do that, because if you're plugging into something, we're going to remind you of other ways to plug in, but it's a reminder to check in to those that mean something to you, and just check on them, see how they're doing, see what's going on in their lives. And in addition to the connection piece, it's a space where breakthroughs are celebrated, supported, but also cultivated. Some of these workshops and classes that we have there, it helps us to go beyond what you see on the screen. I don't know if anybody else can relate to this, but we take these classes or we watch, a YouTube video, and the things that we take in those instances, we take them in and then that's it. We forget about them. And this isn't meant to be, bringing us down like, oh, get yourself together. I mean, part of me saying that, but I'm just as human as everybody else. And sometimes we take in all of this stuff, but then we don't actually do anything with that. And one of the things I feel so strongly about with the Breakthrough Show Network community and the network as a whole is that it reminds us to take that action, to make the connection, to schedule it in our calendar, to do and live and be the way that we say we want to. It's putting that action behind our words and the things that we say that we want to do. And everybody helps to hold each other accountable, which I really, really love. I invite you to be more involved in our community. Go to thebreakthroughshownetwork.com and check out all of our shows there. It has ability to access our virtual community, which is free, guys. It's free. You can go check it out at any time. There's usually someone poking around there. And also helping us by watching our content, engaging in the content, commenting, liking, sharing, all of that stuff, and joining our community. It helps everyone else to know that we're here. For those of us, even if you don't need it at any particular time, it helps to remind those people that do need a space like this that we exist and we're here for them. Breakthroughs don't just happen by accident. Sure, sometimes we stumble into a realization or a moment of clarity. But more often than not, true transformation happens when we make a choice, a decision to seek growth, to challenge our old ways of thinking, to surround ourselves with people who support our journey, and to take action even when it's uncomfortable. That's why the Breakthrough Show Network exists. It's not just a place to share stories, it's a space where we actively cultivate breakthroughs, where we hold space for each other, where we recognize that our individual growth is deeply connected to the growth of those around us. This season, I invite you to be part of that movement, to lean in, to engage, to step into the conversations that challenge and inspire you. Heavy emphasis on the challenge. Let's have a conversation. Let's talk. Because together we are building something powerful. We are building a community where breakthrough isn't just something that happens to us, it's something that we create. I want to take this next moment to express my gratitude to each and every one of you, no matter what role you have played over the last 8 seasons of the Breakthrough Show. I'm literally dumbfounded that we're starting season 8 right now. I encourage you to subscribe to our YouTube channel, like, share, engage with the content. Head over to the breakthroughshownetwork.com, sign up and be part of our virtual community. It's completely free. Okay. And I'm so thankful. I'm so thankful, but I invite you to lean in. Lean in this season. Okay. I want to take a minute and tell you what's happening on the next episode of The Breakthrough Show coming up next Friday, February 14th, 2025. As I mentioned, I will be joined on the screen by my good friend. Dare I say colleague? Do we say colleague in the space? I don't know. My entrepreneurial colleague, Brett Gordon, is going to be here to spark in us a leadership revolution. Now, it says revolution on the screen, but here's the fun part. He is leading a leadership revolution. And let me tell you something, the Aquarius in me loves that word rebel. All right. I'm so excited to have Brett on the show. We're going to talk all about leadership. Maybe we'll even dive into a little bit of some of the leadership stuff that we talked about in regards to the friendship paradox as well. It's going to be an incredible episode. So I encourage you to set your reminders when you see it come on a little bit later this afternoon on YouTube, and join us Friday, February 14th, Valentine's Day, boys and girls, at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, of course, only on the Breakthrough Show Network. Again, I thank you all so very much for being here today for the season 8 premiere, a little nostalgic look back at the history and some of our incredible guests that we've had here on the Breakthrough Show, a little look forward at some of the amazing folks that are going to be joining us this season, and for hanging out while I tell you a little bit about the growth that we've experienced here in the network. I am your host, Jessica Dugas. Thank you so much. I love you all so very much. And I want to remind you to make every day a great day for a breakthrough. On the way out, we're going to hear Dorothy Auger's For a Love poem, and I will see you next week. Thanks, everybody.
I shall stand for love, even with a broken soul, even with a heavy heart. I shall stand for love, for the world is wounded, not just my little piece of land, where I am mostly safe, where I am mostly well, but our world, everywhere, every day. I shall stand for love, because we need more light, not more death, not more power, not more bombs. I shall stand for love, so that our children are safe, so that our friends are sheltered, so that our borders are open. I shall stand for love, even with a broken soul, even with a heavy heart.